The Poet X, Part 7. Invitation. The slam the host tells me about is the same one that Ms. Galliano has mentioned at Poetry Club, and I'm not the type to believe everything is a sign or whatever, but when so many parts of my life all point in one direction, it's hard not to follow the arrows. Even when I'm home, my hands are still shaking, and I try not to appear as overwhelmed as I feel. For the first time in a long time, Twin doesn't look sad or distracted. He just keeps turning to me in our room, his face glowing. Xiomara, that was amazing. Although I've never been drunk or high, I think it must feel like this. Off balance, giggly, unreal. I know exactly what Twin means, because so many of the poems tonight felt a little like our own stories, like we saw and were seen, and how crazy would it be if I did that for someone else? Sunday, December 16th, all the way hype. The whole weekend I relived the open mic. Saturday and Sunday I have to bite back my excitement. I write between cleaning. I write instead of doing homework. I write before and after church on Sunday. I can't wait for Poetry Club. Going there was like being tested in fire. It helped me to be brave, so I can't wait to tell them about the Noyo. Late into the night I write, and the pages of my notebook swell from all the words I've pressed onto them. It almost feels like the more I bruise the page, the quicker something inside me heals. Tuesday has become my equivalent to Mommy's Sunday, a prayer circle. Monday, December 17th, at lunch on Monday. I go to the art room and Isabel is there with headphones and a journal and a bag of spicy Doritos. I sit across the long table from her and open my notebook. Suddenly she looks up and slides the huge headphones off. Tell me what you think. She starts reading, her hands fluttering in the air. I put my apple down to focus because this feels like an important moment. When she's done, she doesn't look at me, and Isabel isn't the type not to look at someone. I don't tell her it's good, even though it is. I don't tell her it's beautiful, although it's that too. That gave me chills, I say. I felt it here, I say. You should finish it, I say. And when she smiles at me, I smile back. Tuesday, December 18th, at Poetry Club. I let everyone know I went to an open mic. They seemed amazed, asked me for details, tell me they want to go along the next time I perform. And I feel such a rush at the way Isabel grabs my hand and squeals, the way Miss Galliano smiles like I did something to make her proud. How did you do? Chris asks. I shrug. I didn't suck. And everyone smiles because they know that means I killed it. Every day after English class. Miss Galliano asks me to read her something new. With 5 minutes between classes, I know I need to pick the best and shortest piece in advance. But every day I pick a new poem and I have learned to slow down, to breathe, to pace myself, to show emotion. The last day before winter break, Ms. Galliano tells me I'm really blossoming, and I think about what it means to be a closed bud, to become open. And even though it's cliche, it's also perfect. When I see Stefan in the hallway, he reads his latest haiku. When I see Chris on my way to the train, he always has a smile for me and a, "What's up, X? Write anything new?" And I know that I'm ready to slam, that my poetry has become something I'm proud of, the way the words say what I mean, how they twist and turn language, how they connect with people, how they build community. I finally know that all of those I'll never, ever, ever stemmed from being afraid, but not even they can stop me. Not anymore. Monday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. My mother doesn't buy a Christmas tree. Instead, she buys 3 big poinsettias and sets them on a red tablecloth on the living room windowsill. Noche Buena, the good night, has always been one of my favorite holidays. On TV, white families always open gifts on Christmas Day, but most Latinos celebrate the night before. During the day, Caridad comes over, bringing her mother's famous coquito that's laced with a little bit of rum. We play video games with Twin and exchange cards we made for each other. Mommy has always made Twin and me go to the midnight mass to celebrate baby Jesus, and when we get back, we've been allowed to open gifts. This year, when we get home from church, I go straight to my room. I know better than to expect anything. I lie in bed with Chance the Rapper in my ear when there's a knock on the door. I look, imagining it's Twin trying to be respectful, except it's not. Mommy stands there with a small wrapped box in her hand. She shuffles into the room, sets the gift on the desk, and like she doesn't know what to do with her hands, she picks up Twin's sweater from the computer chair and neatly refolds it. When she sits, I sit up in bed, unsure of what to do. But just as fast as she sits down, she stands, gestures to the gift, and walks to the door. I had it resized for you. I know how much you like jewelry. It's a rosary. I think before I open the box, my mother doesn't believe in any other kind of jewelry. But when I lift the lid, I see a small gold plaque with my name etched on it, a thin gold chain making the bracelet complete. And I know I've seen this plaque before. When I turn it over, I remember where. Inscribed on the inside are 2 Spanish words, mi hija. This was my baby bracelet. Mommy must have kept it all these years. That's why she resized it now. Makes absolutely no sense. I lay it across my wrist and cinch the clasps closed. Her daughter on one side, myself on the other, and I feel so many things, but mostly relief that it wasn't a rosary. Wednesday, December 26th through Tuesday, January 1st, longest week. The week after Christmas is the longest week of my life. I write and I write and I read poems to Twin, who is still in his feelings and refusing to talk to me about Cody, but I see him texting Caridad, who's the most sympathetic of us all, so probably a good decision. I read the poems so often and edit so much that I begin memorizing them by accident until my head is full of words and stories, until I'm practicing the poems in my dreams. And the more I write, the braver I become. I write about mommy, about feeling like an ant, about boys trying to always holler at me, about Aman, about Twin. Sometimes I'm still awake writing when mommy gets up at the ass crack of dawn to go to work. So many words fill my notebook, and I can't wait to share them all. But still another week to go until Poetry Club. Wednesday, January 2nd, the waiting game. Because of New Year's, we don't start school again until Wednesday, so I miss Poetry Club by just one day. Although I'm disappointed, the extra week gives me more time to write. Isabel and I share some poems during lunch, and if I catch Stefan or Chris in the hallways, we'll joke or talk about a new piece. With my birthday in a week, I realize that this new year hasn't started off so bad. Tuesday, January 8th, birthdays. On our birthday, Twin and I exchange gifts in the morning right before we leave for school. I got him an X-Men comic, issue 17, although it's not as usual anime. Twin tears up when he sees it. Iceman, the main character in it, is a super dope gay mutant. I hug him awkwardly, and before he pulls away, I don't know if I told you, but I'm on your side, always. Twin gives me a tight hug and hands me a wrapped package. I break open the tape and see the leather cover. It's another notebook, so similar to my first. Ran out of gift ideas, I tease. He shakes his head and nods at my old notebook, fat and falling apart on the kitchen table. No, and your old one is so full I know you haven't either. We pack up and walk arm in arm to the train. Today will be a good day. The good. Caridad has left me 5 voicemails singing happy birthday. They're ridiculous and her voice is horrible, but I laugh every time. I'm sure she's trying to get up to 16 by the end of the day. When I go put away my bio textbook before lunch, an envelope flutters to the ground. Inside, I find a printed out receipt for 2 admission tickets to an apple farm just north of the Bronx. Only one person at this school knows how much I love apples. Aman. A laugh uncurls in my throat and stretches its way to my lips. By the time Poetry Club comes around, I'm walking on air before Stefan pulls me into the classroom. Chris takes off his fitted and croons Happy Birthday, the Stevie Wonder version. Isabel hands me a cupcake. Ms. Galliano gives me a wink. I think I'll remember this birthday for the rest of my life. The bad. When we start going around the room to read our poems, I reach into my bag. I find the new journal Twin gave me, but after searching and searching, I realize I must have left my old one on the kitchen table. For a moment, I feel so anxious. All those poems I wrote over break, and I don't even have one to share. But I try from memory. One of my favorites rolls off my tongue as if I planned it that way. It feels so good to do a new poem and so good to listen to Chris, Stefan, and Isabel. And when I finally look at the clock, I realize I'm running late to church. At some point, Mommy will find out I haven't been going to confirmation classes, probably when the class is confirmed and I don't have an excuse for poetry club anymore. But for now, I'm going to keep frontin'. I just want to get to church before she's waiting outside. I grab my bag in a hurry, leave with a quick wave, not my usual goodbye, and zip my North Face up tight. I grab my phone to shoot Kari out a text, and I see I have 2 missed calls. My mother's voicemail spears ice into my bones. Te estoy esperando en casa. Click. The ugly. I'm breathing hard by the time I get home. I ran from the train and my face is flushed. I glance at the kitchen table before hurrying to my room. My notebook isn't there. Mama is sitting on the edge of my bed with my journal cradled between her hands. When she looks at me, I feel blood rush from my cheeks. I hear a baseball game in the living room, but I know neither Poppy nor Twin can save me. My hands pulse to grab the book from her, but I don't move from the doorway. She speaks softly. You think I don't know enough English to figure out you talk about boys and church and me to know all these terrible things you think? My mother has always seemed like a big woman, even though she's so much smaller than I am. This moment, when she swells up and stands, I shrink in the eyes of her wrath. These thoughts you have, that you would write them for the people to read without feeling guilt, shame? What kind of daughter of mine are you? She seems lost, as if I've yanked an anchor from the only thing that's kept her afloat. She grabs the book in one hand, and it's then that I notice the box of matches, the box that's always on the stove, the one that's sitting on my bed. I don't know what an asthma attack feels like, but it has to be like this, like claws reaching into your chest and snatching sharply every bit of air, leaving you breathless and wounded before you know what's happened. She's lit the match. Let me explain. I tell her that no one sees the words, that they're just my personal thoughts, that it helps me to write them down, that they're private, that she wasn't supposed to ever read my poems, that I'm sorry, that I'm sorry, that I'm sorry. And I'm digging my fingers into the doorframe. It's the only thing holding me up, holding me back. My anger wants to become a creature with teeth and nails, but I keep it collared because this is my mother, and I am sorry that she found it, that I wrote it, that I ever thought my thoughts were mine. She holds the lit match up to a corner of my notebook. Get a trash can, Xiomara. I don't want ashes on my floor. If your hand causes you to sin. If your hand causes you to sin, if your eye causes you to sin, if this notebook, this writing causes you to sin. The smell of burning leather propels me. I push from the doorway and reach for her hand. Hundreds of poems, I think, years and years of writing. She turns before I can get my hand on the notebook, shoves her elbow hard into my chest, recites the words loud again and again. If your hand causes you to sin, if your eye causes you to sin, if this notebook, this writing causes you to sin. And for the first time in my life, I understand the word desperate. Now it's a pointed hunger in my belly. Please, please, please. She holds me off with the lit match, but I make another grab and the smoking book falls to the floor. We both reach for it, and just as my fingers grace the cover, feel the etched woman on the leather, my mother slaps me back hard onto my ass. The Christmas bracelet rattles to the floor, but as I breathe near the door, my cheeks stinging, all I can do is watch the pages burn. And as she recites scripture, words tumble out of my mouth too. All of the poems and stanzas I've memorized spill out, getting louder and louder, all out of order. until I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, heaving the words like weapons from my chest. They're the only thing I can fight back with. Verses. I'm where the X is marked. I arrive battle ready. Dios te salva Maria, llena eres de gracia. I am the indication. I sign myself across the line. El Señor es contigo, bendita tú eres, entre todas las mujeres. The X I am is an armor dress. I clothe myself in every morning. Y bendito es el fruto de tu vientre, Jesús. My name is hard to say, and my hands are hard too. I raise them here. To build the church of myself. This X was always an omen. Santa Maria, Madre de Dios, ruega por nosotros pecadores, ahora y en la hora de nuestra muerte. Amen. Burn. Mommy stares at me like I'm speaking in tongues and continues praying. We're wild women flinging verses at each other like grenades in a battlefield, a cacophony of violent poems, and then we're both gasping, wordless. Tears roll down our cheeks, but mine aren't from the smoke. I cough on my own tongue. I've never mourned something dying before this moment. I have no more poems. My mind blanks. A roar tears from my mouth. Burn it! Burn it! This is where the poems are, I say, thumping a fist against my chest. Will you burn me? Will you burn me too? You would burn me, wouldn't you, if you could? Where there is smoke. I'm not sure when Poppy and Twin tuned in, but I feel Twin rush past me. He reaches for the notebook, but Mommy hisses at him to step back and stomps on the smoking pages. Poppy is in the room. He speaks softly to my mother, saying her name over and over. Alta Gracia, Alta Gracia. When he reaches for the book, she hisses at him too, but he is soft with her, approaching a frothing pit bull. He bends and grabs the book by a corner and tugs. When she lets go, he knocks it against the wall, trying to put out the burning leather, yells at Twin to get the fire extinguisher. Can a scent tattoo itself onto your memory? That's a mixed metaphor, isn't it? My notebook is smoldering. My heart feels like it's been burned crisp, and all I can think about are mixed metaphors. Things you think about in the split second your notebook is burning. If I were on fire, who could I count on to water me down? If I were a pile of ashes, who could I count on to gather me in a pretty urn? If I were nothing but dust, would anyone chase the winds trying to piece me back together? Other things you think about in the split second your notebook is burning. I will never write a single poem ever again. I will never let anyone see my full heart and destroy it. My mother tries to grab me. Poppy snatches the extinguisher from Twin and puts out the small fire. My mother has been standing behind the blaze, but as the puff of dry chemicals rises between us, my knees know where she will lead me the moment the air clears. I scramble backward into the hallway, push up to my feet and away from her hands. I stand up to my full height, and I'm glad I'm still wearing my coat and backpack because I need to leave. I rush to the door, turn to see Twin pulling my mother back. She has her arm raised, a machete ready to come down, cut me down. I take the stairs two at a time, and when I'm finally outside, I breathe in. I have nowhere to go and nothing left. Returning. Twin begins texting me immediately, but I don't answer. When I finally reply to a text, it's one I received 2 months ago. X. Hey, Aman, I need to talk. Can you chill? On the walk to the train. I call Caridad and she answers, singing happy birthday, but cuts herself off early. What's wrong, Zio? Are you crying? All I said was hey, but she knows by my voice my world is on fire. I take a breath. She tells me to come over. She tells me she'll meet me. She asks me what I need. Check on Twin. Make sure he's okay. I just need to breathe. I just need to leave. There's a long pause, and I can imagine her nodding through the phone. I'm here for you. You'll figure it out. And that's enough. The ride. The train stops and starts like an old woman with a bad cough, but I feel more than jumbled when I walk on, so a halting train doesn't faze me at all. When I get off on 168th, it started snowing softly. I turn my face up into the wetness. I pretend this is like a movie where the sky offers healing, but it only makes me colder. I stand there waiting, knowing he said he would come, believing he will. A tingle on my neck is the only clue I have, and then I smell him. His cologne a cloud of so many memories I didn't even know we'd made. Amon's fingers reach for my hand, but he's silent. I keep my face open to the sky. I squeeze his hand in mine. No turning back. Amon asks me questions, but I barely hear any of them. The only thing I feel is the warmth of his fingers. We walk nowhere for a while until I notice Amon is shivering. I finally look at him, really look at him. His hair is wet, his eyelashes have droplets from the snow, and he is wearing nothing but a thin hoodie. I can see his bare ankles below his sweats. He must have rushed out without putting on socks. I tug on his hand and whisper against his cold cheek, "You're cold. Let's get out of the cold." You live near here, right? And although he raises both his perfect eyebrows, there is nothing left to say. Taking care. The long way up 5 flights of stairs, I have all the silence and time to think. I know that Amon's father works nights, that at night Amon listens to music and does homework, and I almost laugh all the time we were together and happy I avoided coming here. And now that I'm nothing but a hot mess, I push my way into his home. His couch is soft, brown and cushiony, no plastic covering like mine. I don't take my coat off or my backpack. I just lean my head back and close my eyes. I can hear Amon moving around me. A table leg scrapes against the hardwood floor. The refrigerator door opens and closes softly. Then music playing. But not J. Cole like I expected. Not hip hop at all. Instead, it's bass strings and soft steel drums. Soca, I think, but slow and soothing. When Amon tugs on my boots, I finally open my eyes, and he is bending over my feet, staring at my mismatched socks. Then he's sitting beside me, and I finally begin to feel warm. He doesn't ask what happened, but the question floats like a blimp across the arch of his brows. And so I tell him all of my poems, my words, my thoughts. The only place I have ever been my whole self are a pile of ashes. And smoke must still be lodged in my chest because it hurts so much when I'm done speaking. Amon doesn't say a word. He just pulls me to him in Amon's arms. In Amon's arms, I feel warm. In Amon's arms, I feel safe. In Amon's arms, he apologizes. In Amon's arms, I apologize. In Amon's arms, I want to forget. In Amon's arms, my mouth finds his. In Amon's arms, my hands touch skin. In Amon's arms, my shirt comes off. In Amon's arms, I am shy for a moment. In Amon's arms, I am beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. In Amon's arms, I feel beautiful. In Amon's arms, my jeans unsnap. In Amon's arms, I show myself. In Amon's arms, naked skin rubs against mine. In Amon's arms, kisses and kisses, my neck and ear. In Amon's arms, fingers touch my breasts. In Amon's arms, I stop breathing. In Amon's arms, I feel good, so good. And I also know we have to stop because now we're lying on the couch and he's on top of me. And his kisses feel so good, everything feels so good, but I also feel him pressed against me, the part of him that's hard, that's still an unanswered question I don't have a response for. And when his hand brushes my thigh and then moves up, I know why island people cliff dive, why they jump to feel free, to fly, and how they must panic for a moment when the ocean rushes toward them. I stop his hand. I pull my face from his. He is breathing hard. He is still kissing me hard. He is still bumping up against me hard. We have to stop. Tangled. Sometimes I wear these really long 3-strand necklaces, and I love how they look, like a spider web of fake gold, but they're the worst to put away. The next time I try to wear them, they're a tangled knot. No beginning, no end, just snag after snag. That's how I feel the moment I ask Amon to back up, like a big tangle. I feel guilty because he looks so frustrated. I feel hot and wanting. I feel like crying because everything is so mixed up. And I feel the panic slowly die because I can think. I just need a moment, things to slow down so I can undo the knots inside me. The next move. I wait for him to call me all the names I know girls get called in this moment. I sit up and hold my bra against my chest with no memory of how I became undone. When his fingers brush against my spine, my whole body stiffens, waiting. But he only pulls my straps up and snaps my bra closed, hands me my t-shirt. We are silent as I get dressed. I wait for him to hand me my boots, to point me toward the door. I know this is how it works. You put out or you get out. So I'm surprised when instead of my boots, Amon hands me his own t-shirt. And when I look at him confused, he takes it back and uses the sleeve to wipe the tears sprinting down my cheek. There are words that need to be said, but we don't say any of them. We watch YouTube highlights of the Winter Games. I help Amon fry eggs and sweet plantains. I sip a Malta. Amon drinks a bottle of his father's Carib beer. Somewhere in New York City, it is late, but in Amon's living room, time has stopped. I'm dozing off with the lights dark and the buzz of the computer. With Amon's soft breathing in my ear, I think of all the firsts I've given to this day and all the ones I chose to keep. And this is a better thought than the one that wants to break through, because in the back of my head, I know today I've made decisions I will never be able to undo.